I'm going to scrape the bark off because it's just about falling off. I'm going to use the knife on it straight up and down to scrape. And then, what good's an arrow without a point? Well, these three obviously came from the same stone, and there's like a fourth one somewhere around, the tiny one that I made, that came from the same stone, and that stone wasn't but this big when I started, so it was like, it's really nice material. When you have good material, you can get a lot out of it. This, I believe, is Coxsackie chert from New York State. This is where I've had my flints and chert stash for years, and the ground, the pine needles and leaves and stuff have deposited so much in this area that a lot of my stone I'm finding 3 inches below dirt level, not just leaves. So it's like, that's why you don't find a lot of artifacts in New England that, like you do out west, where they're just laying on the ground. This is from Muskegon, Maine, and see how rubbly it looks, right? That's not what you want to look for. When you see nice flat planes like that on a stone, that's more like it. There's a piece of obsidian here that really demonstrates niceness. You can see the flake scars are clean and smooth and very homogeneous stone. This is volcanic glass, for those that don't know. I guess I got enough to play with for a minute. Maybe we'll have some luck. Yeah, we'll see what we can do with this stuff. Anyway, we've got, these are my tools. These are made out of moose antler, clubs for knocking apart flint. This is a deer antler, but it's got a copper tip. Those really work good with stubborn material. The key to these things is a spherical end, or semi, you know. That's what you want to strike the flint with. This is a nice looking material. I'm looking for an angle on the stone itself that I can exploit. This looks like a pretty nice angle here. If I strike it along this side here, I'm trying to establish a flaking plane. Well, we've got little pieces. Oh, look at that. That's sweet. That'd be good for a larger blade. Oh, yes. That's nice. I think I'm gonna, if I was smart, I'd step away from that rock right now. What I was doing there was, that's called percussion flaking. That's direct whacking the stone with the club. Then there's pressure flaking, when you're using a point like this, which is deer tine that's also been rounded off on the end, and you're going after a very specific spot, and you put the pressure to it and force that piece out of the way. I broke out my copper tip tool because it works so well, and it works with stubborn situations. And I've got a few chunky edges I need to get worked down. See, I'm getting a nice sharp edge. Once you get a sharp edge like that established all the way around, and I've got this to deal with in this before I can claim that, then you got a chance of controlling the situation. Until you get there, it's like you're doing the best you can. I just went and got my a braiding stone, and this is a stone that I picked up in New York, and I believe it was used once before, probably prehistorically, but maybe more recently, I don't know. But this groove right here is a result of doing what I'm doing here. I use one side and leave the other for history. Right. So I'm starting to get a shape here. My point, it's got good shape, but it's still really chunky on the front, a little more chunky than I want it to be. It's also bigger than I want it to be for an arrowhead. I'm going to knock my point off, which means I'm going to have to reduce it down a bit. But after I knock the point off, then I'm going to try and take a flake that thins out. Okay. Oh, look at that. That's exactly what the doctor ordered. See that? So that's thinning me down a bit. Now I'm feeling better about things. Yeah, so we're to this point now as teardrop shape, which is a tool in itself. Just this way it could be used as a little knife or a scraping tool, whatever. But I'm going to do some corner notches in here and finish up the arrowhead shape that we're looking for. Corner notching. So that's one. Shows that should be good. Just take the sharps off of it so that when we wrap it on, it's less likely to cut the thread. I've got our hide or sinew glue straight across that one. Down here. Careful not to over pull on the sharp places. There. And it's probably pretty well centered.